Hey guys, so this is going to be your reading slash social studies lesson. Um, I have pulled up your slides that you're going to see that you are looking at right now. So what I want you to do is to click on the PowerPoint link and then click make a copy. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put it into present mode so we can go through the lesson. And then when we are finished, I'll show you exactly what I want you to do on your independent practice. All right, so we are moving on from government. You should have finished Bill of Rights earlier this week. And having done that, we are we understand how the government is working at this point. Well, we now have this new government that we fought for our freedom during the American Revolution, and now we are going to start purchasing some land across the United States because remember, as of up until right now, we only own this portion of the United States, all of the East Coast, okay? We don't own all of this yet, okay? Um, you're going to hear in just a second about a president who makes this big purchase of land and sends some people over to explore the land and figure out what's going on over there so we could start doing our westward expansion. And westward, we're only on the east side right now, okay, on the East Coast. So westward means we're going west, okay? Expansion means to expand, to get bigger. So we're going to get bigger to the west, okay? All right, so our learning target, we're going to do 2 lessons today because the first lesson is just introducing westward expansion, and then the second lesson is going to cover Lewis and Clark and the purchase of Louisiana, okay? All right, so our learning target for this lesson, we're going to be able to explain what the westward expansion was. All right, let me slide my picture down here. And I'm not going to read all this to you. I'm just going to go through and kind of give you the tidbits of what's going on because you have access to this PowerPoint and you can go back and read this independently. It's not hard to read it all. All right, so basically, the westward expansion back in this time in the 1800s was not as technologically advanced as what we do today. So what we do today, we can get in our car, we can get on an airplane, we can ride on boats, we can do all these wonderful things. Well, all of these things didn't really exist at this point. Okay. Um, and so these people that decided to travel west would get in these big covered wagons like this that were drawn by horses or um, any type of big work animal, okay, that could pull a wagon. Some people had big ones, some people had small ones, but they would load everything that they had up onto these wagons and if they decided to move west, okay? So can you imagine what it would be like to go on one of these horse-drawn wagons all the way across the United States? And guys, this wasn't something that happened in a month. This would take months and months and months. Look at this. 5 months to get there, okay? Can you imagine being on a horse-drawn wagon for 5 months with your brothers and sisters and your mom and dad? I can't. I'm going stir crazy just from being in my house for this quarantine, okay? I cannot imagine what these people had to go through to get to where they wanted to be. All right. So here we have a video, and I'm not going to play the video, but this is showing a wagon train. And a wagon train is basically a bunch of wagons that are um, lined up in a line like a train would is, train cars are, but they're not attached, okay? And they're all traveling in the same direction, okay? And wagon trains were more safe than traveling alone because you had more people around you. So if like wild animals came and tried to attack you, there were more people to help fight them off. They were less likely to be attacked by like robbers and stuff because there were so many people. If you traveled independently and it was just your single wagon, the chances of you being attacked by someone or by an animal were much larger. So a lot of people in these traveling situations decided to go in large groups. Okay. All right. So here's some vocabulary that you need to know. And this goes back to our field trip that we went on. And everybody got to choose a pioneer card, and you got to have someone, and you learned what state you were from, and you learned how many people traveled with you. You learned what your age was. So a pioneer is just a person who's traveling west. Okay. And the frontier is the border between the settlement and the unsettled land. So settlement means that's where people live. That's where people have already set up location and they already reside there. Unsettled land is land where nobody has made it their homestead yet. Nobody has moved their houses there yet. Okay. So they consider that unsettled. All right, so that was all of lesson one. Pretty easy. Go back and watch the video, and that'll give you a little bit more information about what basically just what westward expansion is. Okay, lesson two is going to hit the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark. So our learning targets for this are: I can explain what the Louisiana Purchase was, and I can describe the goals and the results of the Lewis and Clark expeditions. Okay, and we've already hit on Lewis and Clark before we went on our field trip and the Louisiana Purchase. Um, so pay close attention to the maps that they're including here, because this is going to help you see like what has been purchased throughout this. Okay. All right. So Thomas Jefferson is our president at this point, and he purchases the Louisiana Territory from France. Okay. From Napoleon Bonaparte. He decides to send Lewis and Clark to the Louisiana Territory to explore the territory, because he doesn't know really what he bought. Nobody's been over there. They don't know what kind of animals are over there. They don't know what kind of plants are over there. They don't know what kind of Native American tribes are over there. They have no idea what it's like on the west side. Okay. So he decides to send two. They claimed that they were scientists, but it turned out that they weren't as good. They advertised well, but they weren't as good at their job as what they had said they were good at. So, um, anyways, these two men led the Corps of Discovery to the Louisiana Territory to explore. So, Thomas Jefferson specifically asked them to search for a direct water route to the Pacific Ocean. Um, he asked them to find and create relationships with the Native Americans, because at this point we're starting to realize that some of these Native American tribes are very hostile, and hostile means dangerous. Okay, but in all honesty, these Native American tribes have a reason to be hostile, because all of these white people are coming in on their land and taking it from them. And these Native Americans have no say so. And they were there first. So a lot of them have started to fight back. And so Thomas Jefferson is thinking, well, we purchased this land. Technically, we own it. So why don't we try to create good relationships with these Native Americans instead of start wars with them? Because we've already fought the French and Indian War. That cost us a lot of money. Then we ended up fighting the American Revolution. So we're just getting out of all these wars. The last thing we want to do is to get into more wars. Okay. So he wants them to go and create relationships with these Native Americans. And then, most importantly, he wants them to go figure out what kind of soil is over there, what kind of plants grow over there, what kind of animals are there. Because if they send all these people over there and it's not land that can be lived on, they can't grow crops there, or there are dangerous animals everywhere, and they don't know how to protect themselves, the chances of people wanting to go and move onto that land are very slim. Okay, so it's very important that they know how to survive on that land. So your vocabulary word for this lesson is going to be expedition. An expedition is just a trip taken for a specific purpose. And typically an expedition is to like research something, to investigate something. Okay, so they're going to go on an expedition to explore this new land. All right, so Lewis and Clark, this yellow piece of land right here was what Thomas Jefferson bought from France. This was the Louisiana Purchase. Now, the tricky part is this little L-shaped boot right here, that's Louisiana. That's the state of Louisiana. But the Louisiana Purchase entailed much, much more land than just the state of Louisiana. Okay. And actually, at this point, the state of Louisiana doesn't even exist yet. Okay. All right. So in May of 1805, Lewis Clark, some soldiers, river boatmen, hunters, and Clark's slave set out from St. Louis heading westward on the Mississippi and Missouri rivers. They were on a total of 3 boats. Now, all of these people entail the corpse of discovery, and you need to remember that term because you are going to come across that. The corpse of discovery is this whole group of people that have decided to set out and figure out what's going on. So, just in case you don't know, St. Louis is in Missouri. Okay, so they're leaving from Missouri to go westward on the Mississippi and the Missouri rivers. Okay, so here are the rivers. This is your Mississippi River here, and it reaches basically across the entire United States. Okay, from the bottom to the top. All right, your Missouri River it meets up with the Mississippi River and it travels up here. Okay. So now it says the results of the expedition, they were not successful. Remember, I told you that Lewis and Clark were very good at advertising what they were going to do, but they weren't so good at doing it. Okay. And one person that they left out so far was Sacagawea. Sacagawea was a Native American that they came across on their travels, and she actually helped them create relationships with the Native American tribes. And she helped them find ways to survive. She showed them plants that were edible. She showed them animals that were safe and how to protect themselves against animals that weren't safe. Okay. Unfortunately, they did not find a direct water route to the Pacific Ocean because it just doesn't exist. Okay. There's too much land here in between here to get from the Mississippi River to the Pacific Ocean because as you can see, the Mississippi River runs north and south, and the Missouri River does run east to west, but it stops once you start hitting the mountain range here. Okay. They were able to get lots of details of plants and animals that they found, and they were able to map out a large portion of the land, but they weren't able to really get a whole lot of information that they needed in this expedition. All right, so that is our lesson for today. So I want you to make sure that you pulled up the PowerPoint and that you go back and watch the video and make sure you closely read those slides because I didn't really read it word for word. I just gave you tidbits of information. When you open your independent practice, you're going to make a copy and you're going to do lesson 1. So you're going to answer these questions here. We're going to do this next page. You're going to answer these questions here on page 2. You're going to go to lesson 2. This is lesson 2. You're going to answer these questions. And then this is lesson 2 here. You're going to fill in the blanks there. And then the last one is slide 5, and that's just your journal question. Make sure you answer all of that. So you're going to do slides 1 through 5, okay? Make sure you share it with me. All right, good luck.